this is stupid, and I think we should talk about it. But it's also obviously awful, which is Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein's friendship, which we now know a little bit more about because of a series of letters that was published by the Democratic Oversight Committee for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday. And it was a book. You know how you like make a little birthday book for a milestone birthday? Well, that's what they did. And tomorrow on my birthday, nobody draw me a cartoon. Just don't draw anything, please. But this is a book that Ghislaine Maxwell put together for Epstein's 50th birthday, 238 pages. And the House Democrats released this. And it is a veritable, just a disgusting, it's like this is like, I don't know. It feels like the scrapbook of a mass shooter. It feels like it is terrifying. It is the burn book of a pedophile. That's literally what it is. So let me just share with you a few of the entries that people thought was fun to include. Here we have one of the pages is a friend and longtime Mar-a-Lago member who jokes about Jeffrey showing early talents with money and women, sells, quote, fully depreciated, and then the name of the woman, to Donald Trump for $22,500. Showed early people skills too. Even though I handled the deal, I didn't get any of the money or the girl. And this is clearly him in the middle. I think Trump is behind here. This is a redacted image of the woman's face or the girl. We don't know. This is references girl. And here's Epstein. And the joke is like, you sold him a used woman. Like your birthday cards, right, David?
Yeah, exactly. It was just like an open secret. Like this is what is so disgusting about all of this. And it goes right into the conspiratorial idea of what the right wing had of like, oh, these Democrats and their child sex
yes.
ring. This was that.
Yes.
And powerful people on you. Like the president of your president was his best friend. He's on tape, not caught on tape. He's in an interview saying that Trump was one of my best friends.
Yes.
Like can you imagine if the tables were turned? How like this is already a big story, but it's not leading to anything. We're not expecting it to lead to anything. We're not expecting impeachment, like nothing. We're not expecting anything coming out of this because we've already sort of just accepted that this guy can do whatever he wants, be caught in doing whatever he's done, and nothing's going to happen to him.
Yeah.
And it's something that I feel like people shouldn't accept. It's completely insane. This goes back to what I was pitching about. Like we shouldn't have to explain why this is crazy. We shouldn't have to explain what should happen next. It should all be obvious.
Totally. Well, this is why it's kind of my favorite story because, Pam Bondi at the DOJ tried to release all these binders to like right-wing influencers and then it came out and was like, there was no list, there was no this, there was no that. Same Kash Patel repeated that. Dan Bongino had to like walk it off a little bit and then he came around. Meanwhile, last week, survivors of Epstein's trafficking spoke out on Capitol Hill. Trump decides to do a military flyover. So they're drowned out by the sound of helicopters and jets. Of course, their testimony stands. I mean, the press, the press event is there. I'm having trouble with words. And they were like, look, we'll make our own lists. We will put out our own list. And all the right wingers like, nah, we don't want to listen to you. We need evidence. And the women are like, evidence. Trump was best friends with Epstein. I know that. I saw him they didn't say necessarily they saw him, but they were like, Epstein bragged about being best friends with Donald Trump. And all the right wingers like, nah, that's not good. Where's the Clinton part? Well, then you're like, okay, how about this one? How about we do it in pictures? Hey, every MAGA dummy can understand this. This is a cartoon drawn by one Joel Pashkow, who was also a regular at Mar-a-Lago, has not responded to media outlets asking him for comment. And it is Jeffrey Epstein giving a bunch of what looked to be girls a lollipop and balloons in 1983. And then 20 years later, which I feel like is too many years later, considering who he trafficked, he's getting massages from like 4, girls in thongs. I mean, it literally, and then it says, what a great country. It is just like
this is like, would you ask, if you look up grooming in the dictionary, this should be the picture that pops up. Like this is literal, this is grooming. And this is the thing, again, that the right claims, Democrats or whoever is doing. And this is your guy's best friend doing this stuff for your guy, the president.
Well, MAGA is basically saying they're trying to contest, and the regime is trying to contest and say that the signatures on this letter, because here's the reveal is the letter. So here is the letter from Trump, part of this book. Now, this is the weirdest drawing I've ever seen. This is like the outline of a woman's body, we assume, but no arms. Okay. And then like kind of got like adolescent breasts. I don't know. Really gross. Like, I'm like, did he mean to draw boobs? What is going on? And it's his little like fanfic between him and Jeffrey. They go back and forth, and Donald ends with, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday. May every day be another wonderful secret. And there's more. Is there more to life than having everything? Yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is, nor will I, since I also know what it is. Pedophilia is what it is. Getting away with it. In fact, someone else in the book also remarks that Jeffrey Epstein had an incredible time getting away with staying out of the penitentiary. They rhymed penitentiary with everything. Now, here is the Epstein letter versus a letter around the same time. And MAGA's like, it's not the same signature, nuh-uh. And now they're like, we ran it through a bunch of complex learning models and like whatever, grok and shit. And they're like, it's not the same signature. It's the same signature, guys. It's the same signature. It's him.
Isn't it a conservative outlet that released all this stuff?
Well, initially it was the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
Right. And so this was just corroborated.
Like I don't, again, we're fighting battles that we should not, that I don't think we should even really engage in. They're of course full of shit. It's obviously him. Like, this is not a secret. Again, Epstein's on tape saying Trump's his best friend. Like, there's pictures of them together. Like, we don't that go back well before he became president, that we knew existed before he became president. So it's not like this stuff came up and like, oh, it's AI generated. No, these images existed, 20 years ago. You can go and see. Like, all of this is so obvious and clear, and I don't think we should even engage with the idea that it's not real, because it's obviously real. Yeah. And any attempt to try and say otherwise is obvious bullshit.
No, exactly. I mean, I'm just bitching about how obvious it is, and I also think like, I do think there is some truth. This is the last thing I'll say on this, to the fact that Democrats kind of dropped the ball on Epstein for a lot of time. And the reason I say that is because, and I've said this before on the show, but if you remember what the media coverage was like when Epstein was alive and had been, put in prison, it was wall to wall. It was nonstop. There was interviews with, all of the journalists who had broken the story in the Miami Herald. There were interviews with, victims. It was just like, it was massive. It was a huge story. And it was not connected to Trump at all, even though Trump was president. Completely. Like what's actually insane is nobody was drawing those links then. Right? Most people were just kind of talked about like, not the salaciousness, but the story itself. As soon as he dies, they go media blackout on it. No more coverage. And then the only people left up picking the pieces are the conspiracy theorists. Meanwhile, we all have questions. Meanwhile, we're all like, where's the actual accountability? And the victims themselves were like, this is the easiest way he could have gotten off, is by dying or, being murdered by Donald Trump, allegedly.
If the Democratic Party were a competent party, there would have been commercial after commercial showing Trump with Epstein in photos, having the voiceover of Epstein talking about how Trump's his best friend, showing them with young girls. There's videos of that stuff. This should have been all over during the election, before that should have been an obvious point to attack him on. And they're just completely incompetent. And even now, Like, are they even doing much with it now? Like, there's interviews here and there about it, but there really isn't a coherent, ongoing onslaught about this connection to Epstein and ensuring people, when they think about Trump, they think about Epstein, that they think about pedophilia, that should be the connection that Democrats are trying to make right now, because the connection is there. Like, it doesn't have to be manufactured. It's there. All you have to do is voice it.
Totally. And the story is very open. I mean, like, hats off to Ro Khanna and others, Thomas Massey, also Republican. Like, they're the ones who've set up the press conference for the victims. The oversight committee is the reason that we now have these, cards that surely, Chaya Raichik wasn't releasing or didn't get copies of and all this. The interesting thing for me, David, before we move on, is that Marjorie Greene is also big into this story. Like, she was standing right alongside the victims at the press conference last week, and you're like, Marjorie, really? Like, where? What's going on, girl? And it's so crazy because all he had to do was give her a cabinet position or call her up more regularly. His biggest defender, the biggest fundraiser for the Republican Party, and she kind of was on the outs for whatever reason. And now she's attending these press conferences with his, with possible accusers.
Yeah, I have to wonder where that goes with her. Like, she's also, again, has said insane things, and most of what she says is insane. But she's also called out the genocide, and has even at one point, I think this was on Twitter, maybe it was on video, she actually discussed, the impact on Palestinians, and it isn't just from the perspective, the usual perspective from the right of, oh, it's a waste of money. No, she's talked about the human rights abuses of Palestinians, which is so bizarre to hear from Marjorie Taylor Greene. But hey, I'll sure if it's somehow going to impact anybody on that side to maybe think twice about who Trump is and what the White House is doing, then sure, I'm glad she's doing it.
I'm not going to roll out the red carpet for an interview with her. I will say that right now. And I'm not going to give her any flowers for everything that's been happening because, yeah, she's a bigot, psycho, conspiracy theorist. But, hey, maybe she's having a moment, and she should call out her fellow Republicans. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do it.